Welcome to the People's Economy Podcast, the only podcast where we keep it all the way real. Our mission is to educate you with some knowledge, you up with some financial information that you didn't have before. We want you to prosper on your journey, whether that's mentally, physically, spiritually, economically. We're here for the people. So as you can see, there's been a lot of volatility in the market. If you look the week, like last week, stocks was selling off, but then this week, the election week, we see a big bounce back on tech stocks. It looks like they're realizing that whether we reopen the economy, because what it was people were selling out of tech stocks and they're buying what's called recovery stocks, which could be like value plays like Johnson and Johnson, Procter and Gamble, travel plays like cruise ships and airlines. But for some reason this week, all the money jumped back into tech because we're actually realizing whether the economy reopens or not, the technology that makes businesses more sufficient, which is like either cloud stocks or big tech. A cloud stock would be like Twilio. Big tech would be like Facebook, Google, which did great numbers last week, but they ended up selling off last week. But this week, for some reason, they all bounced back. So they're seen as a trend, which us at the People's Economy, we've been saying we put our money in tech stocks since day one. You go back to March, we were saying that you know technology is the future, and now you see a lot of money coming back in. I just want to know what do you think about the money going back into tech stocks, and I don't know what do you see this new future being for us?
That's a good question. I feel like the future has to be tech stocks. I don't see how there's no other way. I think for there's nothing else over the last almost a year at this point.
Mm,
Um, we've seen technology kind of reign supreme, kind of. The
mm,
Amazon. That's a even though that's a company maybe that's not so much a technology company, but just think about how Amazon has to deliver things, and that the functions of that. There's companies that do that. There's companies that are involved in what they do, or any kind of tech. So we've we've been doing business so much online at this point. Zoom, things like that.
mm.
Zoom has done amazing. So we've done so well at being home right now that I think people are used to doing business a different way. So even if, let's say, we get open, or we can do business more freely, I think we'll always have some form of online forums for how we do business. We'll always do Zoom calls if we can't do it another way. So maybe you want to do it in person now, things business, but if you can't get there, you get Zoom is like not a big deal. You could just do a Zoom to make business happen. So, and that requires all tech stuff, the drop shipping. Everybody wanted to do drop shipping. There's a lot of technology involved in whether it's the application or the process to get the product from place to place. There's technology involved. So I think there's no other way. I believe too. Apple, right, has done well um, over these last couple of months. So people just want to be around technology more. And why would you not invest a little, at least a little bit of amount in that kind of sphere?
I agree with 100%. I mean, Zoom has even like you said, if we go back to reopen, Zoom makes things so like sufficient. Like if you want to do a meeting, even if you're, I feel like even your coworkers on the floor underneath you, you're most likely gonna Zoom because you see the sufficiency of Zoom. You're in your office, they're all in their office. You can still get the same message across, but you can, while you may be on a Zoom call, you can still be on your computer doing other business. Like it just makes the world more efficient. So you really
Right.
can't deny, especially this year, you see like technology is one thing that maybe catapults business this year into what the future looks like for business owners and just big corporations to small. Technology plays a big part because you need to even Google, you need to run ads on YouTube, you need to run ads on Facebook to really reach the public now.
Right. Now you're definitely right. When I meet people at work, I guess when I meet people at work who work in the technology field, a lot of them say their companies are doing better now
Mm,
over this whole time than before. So like they like the new Zoom or they're developing new technology to similar to Zoom to do business because they've done actually better. They gain more capital off downsizing other places. That overhead for having a building alone has got to be crazy. The overhead for having a place to house that. A lot of the offices, I guess they're trying to run them efficiently and have people back at offices. Some people are back, but I don't know if we'll ever have people back in offices in the same capacity that it was. It'll always be like a couple people here, a couple this amount of people at a time, I think, and you probably don't even need to do that after a while. You could probably be home for most of the time. People pretty work kind of still efficiently at home, but definitely, like I said, the technology space, those people have a lot of them have still done well. They haven't seen a decline at all. Not everybody.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. That reminds me, they actually recruiters are putting out numbers this week. They're actually seeing that the number one request is from people looking for jobs. They're looking to work remotely over even like a high salary. So that shows
Mm,
you kind of the
mm,
direction we're heading for the future.
right. That's a great indicator of what's going on right now. People are choosing comfort over money, or like pretty much like they want to be comfortable.
Mhm.
I'd rather just be able to be home and be. A lot of that too is the market still, like, and the moves that are going on in the world. Like technology also is going to have to end up being a bigger impact in the school space, the public school space. They're going to have to do more things to make technology, because you're going to have to maybe do things more technology based now. So through school, you're going to have things where you have better Wi-Fi, you have better tools, you have better tablets, you have better ways that you could connect with other people. So that's just one other way that you can add to the technology space.
Yeah, that's true. Because even as kids learn from home, they're kind of learning in a way how to work more remotely when they do step into the job force. If they're going to school from home, what are the chances that they're going to want to go out for work? Maybe the world's kind of changing in like a new direction.
Yeah, yeah, because you would think the younger kids that this is kind of what they're gonna know. This is gonna be their norm.
Mm.
For them, this is gonna be like this is all right. I grew up and we wore masks and we we stayed in sometimes and that's what it is. So I think they are gonna dictate how business is done, and I would imagine they would like to do more business technology based, right? They're gonna want to do things more going back to what you said, multitask. Now I could do business and you could get emails from here and still be on another computer and do other stuff at a time because it's not people. You almost slow down your time, or you like
Mm.
you like put it in a. Now you can put your time like in boxes because with people it's more like flowing. You like talk to people and it's just flowing. Whereas if it's emails or if it's a Zoom, I know this block of time I can put that more in a good space. I could schedule my time better. So that alone and and that could even be a technology thing because planning like the apps where you see your budgets and you financial planning, those are going to be really good too. I think coming up, those would be really good apps.
Yeah, as an investor, that kind of leads us. Now we have to like figure out like because as an investor, you never look at the past or the present. You always look at where the future's going. So now as an investor, maybe you want to like kind of double down on where is the future going? What are maybe future generation? What are these kids going to use in the future that we didn't use during our times? Like, what are the new companies? Like, where can you get 100% growth on your investment? Like, what are the companies that are maybe coming new to the market now? Maybe an IPO or a SPAC that in the future is going to be high demand for these companies. So your investment, you may likely to double X. So let's say you can buy a stock for $10. Maybe in 10 years that company go to 100, you make 10 times on your money. So as an investor, we have to do a different type of research than we've done in the past. It's like a new type of search for new companies. Like, where's the future going?
Mm, I think, well, first of all, we've always sort of put out the message that you should be involved, number one, in the market, just in whatever space that that you're talking about. But as far as where I think the future of that is going, I think younger folks are gonna definitely, hopefully, be the not the savior, but they're gonna show where things need to be and how the market needs to be changed or adjusted or whatever the case may be. Because if you look at we talked about, I think we talked about last time, Quibi. Quibi didn't work,
Mm.
right? Like due to a lot of situations, but it didn't work because it didn't really connect with the audience that it was trying to. And some of that was the young audience because they wanted people to be on their phone all the time. That's what it was. It was like the only content for your phone. But when people were home, they could be on the TV, they could be iPad, they could be laptop. So they're not really just doing that. So a company like that maybe doesn't uh, stay around for long. But don't think that another version of that can come along and sort of and make that better, make a better idea. So I think it's about really. I think it's about what's practical right now. It's about what's practical. If you could pick practical tech investments, I think that's pretty much will. I don't want to say safe, but that's where you should at least be around.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So might as well address the elephant in the room, being that it's November 8th, and they just
Yes,
announced the new elect president, Joe Biden. So
yes.
what they're saying, if Joe Biden gets in, and you kind of have Joe Biden, you have like a Democratic in the president, but if the Republicans win the Senate or the House, and it kind of evens out, they're saying that's going to be real good for growth stocks. So I would
Mm,
say like maybe like Democrats, they want to go more green, so I would say electric vehicle stocks could be real hot in these next 4 years.
mm. I feel like there's been a little bit of a push towards that. Obviously, not as much as you would think, but there's definitely been a push. Look at, I mean, Tesla's done pretty well
Mm.
with that. They're one of the leading forces in that whole greener electric vehicles. I think a company like that, or companies that invest in electric vehicles, they're just gonna have to be able to scale up things like
Mm.
charging stations, or access. Is really going to be, how do you make people comfortable fully? How do you make the average customer comfortable fully with the electric car? Because it's like a different format, even though it's kind of the same. People are going to be like, it's different. So you got to make people comfortable to even adjust to that. But I think people can and will, especially if they start learning more about the economic aspect of it. But yeah, I think that's where we're headed, to more companies like that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Tesla was like the craziest performing stock ever. Just to give you a blueprint of the electrical vehicle market. But we need to start. We can start looking now, especially with a Democratic president. We can start looking now on more EV companies. You have a company like Neo, which are creating actually electric vehicles. You have a company, Charging Point. Charging Point is going to be, which Charging Point is under SPE now. It's a SPAC. It's SPE. They're going to acquire Charging Point. The stock trades under the symbol SPE, but they're going to be, which is going to be like equivalent to what's a gas station now, like a Gulf, a Getty. They're going to be a gas station for electric vehicles,
Mm,
and you can get in
mm,
early now.
mm.
Be
Okay.
research.
That's good. That's good game. That's good game because that's where you should be. That's how you get savvy. That's how you get savvy with the investments that you're doing because it's definitely it'll take time. I think it'll take time. I mean, we
Mhm.
just got the new president and in I think there'll be a little shifting. Probably there'll still be a little bit shifting going on during that first couple whatever weeks, months, several whatever. But eventually it'll even out, and then we'll see what kind of zone or what kind of market we're getting into. But that sounds that sounds about where it's at.
Yeah, I think you nailed down the button though. It takes time. As an investment, you have to have patience. Like if you're gonna buy an SPE, which is gonna acquire a charging point, if you're gonna buy it, you're gonna have to have the patience for that first of all to be a SPAC. So it's gonna change from SPE to charging point, and then you have to give that company time to show profits. You have to be patient as an investor. So if you're gonna buy now, you can't look at tomorrow. You gotta look, at least a couple years out. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So with that said, what do you think is different as far as looking out, like an outlook? We might have had an idea what an outlook was last year, and what an outlook,
Mm.
like a future projections. How do you think new investors should adjust with what's going on now as compared? Because we use if you're an investor, you use numbers to you use past numbers to sort of see what's going on. You got to go back to sort of see, okay, this happened in June, or you can go back years and see what happened. How do you think that is adjusted now with the new way people do business, and especially with more technology involved versus even last year where people were more face to face and it was a little more, it was different. Things were different.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, especially with like the change in presidency right now. So it's even like you say like June, but I feel like even last week being like the first week of November to the second week of November, you've seen the market change from selling out of tech stocks to buying heavy value stocks. And then this week during the election, they priced in a Joe Biden victory and maybe a Republican House. Then they start selling off the value stocks and rebuying technology stocks. So I think
Mm,
um I think he's good for growth because honestly, he's gonna have a better relationship with China. And I think overall, um, when you have a better relationship with China, it creates better relationships for the world, as far as trade and things like that. So I think, like you mentioned drop shipping before, that's actually Alibaba. I think well, I think Alibaba is a great company. They actually backed up. I think it was Xpeng. It's the new EV stock you might want to look into. I think it's X. Oh, let me look it up real quick. But they back up Tencent, one Chinese company. They backed up Neo. That's another electric vehicle stock, as well as Let me get this right because you guys can make a lot of money off this stock.
that's
You know,
you got to pay attention. Please pay attention.
it's the ticker symbol is X Ping, XPENG, and they're actually electric vehicle company that they're real affordable. Their luxury car starts at 30,000. Where you
Mhm.
look at Neo, their luxury car starts at like 80,000. So I think Xpeng, and Neo can be right behind Tesla. Charging point, you have Blink. Blink is actually another like charging point is going to be electric vehicle charging station.
Mm,
So there's a lot
mm.
more opportunities coming up in the market. Just do your research.
Um, yeah, because it's definitely it'll take time, but I think it definitely is going to go to a little bit more greener. I think it's definitely going to go a little bit more greener when it comes to the all the emissions and things like that. And I think you have to have a company like the one you're saying, especially if you can do an affordable. You can do a $30,000 affordable electric car with that stylish that has style to it. I mean, you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. People will sort of latch on to that, and the market, I would assume, would have to shift with that, because that's where it would go. It would go to like setting up gas or not gas stations, but charging stations for the cars, but almost like gas stations. And with that, you could probably put more because you're not putting actual pipeline and none of that. You just you need electricity, so you could probably have a lot more of that and probably charge. That's a whole business right there. I would assume with a charging station, like if you had to set up like a gas station. Um, so there's many ways to go.
Yeah, actually, let me correct that. The company was Xpeng, XPENG Incorporated. The ticker symbol is IPEV. The company is up just like 62% in 1 week since the election started. Just to give you an example of the type of growth you can see on some of these EV stocks. I mean, 62% on your money if you bought that. I mean, you can't really beat gains like that. That's why they're saying Joe Biden office might be good for growth stocks. So this could be a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money over the next 4 years if you invest wisely.
Well, it's just about putting the right investment in the right place. The money will always be there, or the wealth, or whatever you want to say. But you just got to find where it's at. That's the only thing that changes with the presidency. You just got to find where. All right, where's it going to go now? It's all the stream is always there. The stream of money that's always funneling. I feel like that's always there. What happens is the change in how people's emotions almost, because people got to realize, and tell me if I'm wrong, the market is a good amount affected by a human emotion, like how people feel. People in places can make the market go up, down, do a lot of things. That's how it works. So you got to be in tune.
Yeah, I would say 100%. That's why when like you become an investor, you gotta be able to take in a lot of information and figure out how to decipher that information. Because from afar, every company looks good. So like, how do you get in and pick the companies that are gonna double your money? That's what really comes down. I would say it comes down to research and study maybe different industries, um, different things you see for the future, like cloud, electric vehicle. Still, I wouldn't count out the same big tech stocks like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. They seem to keep putting out great numbers, keep having great balance sheets, and keep the stocks keep growing. Eventually. So yeah, I would stick to big tech, small tech, EV. I think that's where the future's going. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong. What do
No,
you
I think you're 100% right. I'm trying to, because for me, I'm trying to figure out, like, for a company who, let's say, did better. Let's say they had gains during this time. Do they go back? Do you need people to go back to an office or to a building? And I feel like if that changes alone, and people are like, you know what, we don't have to as much go back to an office, and it's more of a home setup. I feel like that's an opportunity even more for tech companies, because you gotta have to have a home office. The term home office is going to be different now. It's going to be like, home office means my technology, all that has to be up to par to be able to conduct business. That's home office now. Like, I got to have the top Wi-Fi. I got to have the most gigs. I got to have all that. The laptop has to be good. I have to have it has to be running properly. There's systems that go into that. So I think that's pretty much more of where it's at.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need the technology to run the home office. But I feel like tech companies since March have been really working on upgrading their software and hardware to keep up with this new way of doing business in 2020 and moving forward.
because they had no choice, probably, right? Well, not probably, but they have to. They have to adjust. They need to. They have to update their technology, though. I would think, right?
But I guess that's how like the kids in the next generation are gonna step it up. They're gonna probably see
Mm,
technology different than like we've seen it in our past. They're gonna see it more as an opportunity, but we've seen it maybe as more of like a luxury.
mm, mm, mm. That's a great point. That's a great point. If you're in a certain spot, if you're in a certain spot in history right now, if you happen to be born in a certain spot in history, you can remember the difference between no access to the internet and have access to the internet. And that's a very specific spot.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Where we happen to be at. Certain millennials, the end like the older millennials are in that spot. Where I remember no internet, and so it's more like you say, it's more of a luxury. When I got it, I was trying to get songs. We were trying to get songs.
mm.
Now you're trying to conduct business. Now I'm trying to run a whole business off mine. Because even if you're doing like even the young kids that do the forex, the trading, they're running. That's business. I mean, they're running business off their phone. They're off technology. That's a technology that they're running. And that's connected to a couple. I think there's a couple apps that you got to do the forex trading and all that. That's money right there. So you gotta have your game sharp, and companies got to adjust to that.
Yeah, we might have seen it like, technology came out. We might go on AOL chat or maybe check like baseball games and things like that. But the new
Light,
generation is going to be looking at it like, opportunity. Like where can they grow business out of? That's why you have a company like Alibaba, which is great for drop shipping. You have Shopify, you can start your own store. You have Amazon, you can sell different products. We didn't have that like when we was younger.
right,
They're going to see
right,
technology as something different than we see, especially if they're going to be doing at home schooling and they're born. Like you give a young child the iPhone, they know how to operate it at 2 years old naturally. So they're going to find different opportunity than we found. So it's going to be kind of up to them to pick up the baton and keep, business rolling in America and around the world. And they'll probably find new ways to connect that we didn't know in our times.
yeah, they're gonna have to, because they're definitely coming from a different perspective. If you grew up with all the technology, uh, like you said, you know how to use it more, and they could probably use it quick. They could figure it out quicker. But I feel like young people do figure it out quicker. They figure out that algorithm, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. That's younger people. They figure out the algorithms of that. They usually figure out how it works, and this is what you got to do to get this amount of followers, and that's all marketing. That's analytics. That's all that is. That's really part of it. So young people definitely are going to define the future. Not to be cliche, but they definitely do. They definitely do, because they're going to develop technology that we could never imagine. Probably they're gonna build upon what's already here.